Hey guys, so my name is Leon, and today I want to do a recap of episode 3 of Big Brother All Stars 2, aka Big Brother 22. So, as we all seen in the last episode, from episode 2, Cody had just had nominations, and he nominated Keisha from Big Brother 10 and Kevin from Big Brother 11 on the block. And to me, those are fair nominations for Cody. They're people who are old school, kind of similar under the radar games, and they are people who are in based on the dynamic of the house at the moment. They're easy nominees, easy targets. They don't have a lot of numbers as everybody. Like with majority of the people in the house, they have more. They're more aligned together than let's say Kevin and Keisha. I'm not saying Kevin and Keisha don't have any allies at all. They do, but they seem to have the less connections out of everybody else in the house at the moment. So with that being said, after the nominations, Cody and Kevin end up talking in the HH room, and Cody's reassuring Kevin like, "Oh, Kevin, you're safe. You're just a pawn of the week," and he's telling Kevin that his real target is Keisha, which I think is a great move because Cody's explanation for it is that Keisha is not somebody who will see himself work with long term anyway. So that's you know, and if you're not gonna want to work with someone long term, you might as well get rid of him if you're the HOA. So I think that's fair logic from Cody. With that being said, the episode later turns to Case and Janelle wanting to play a low key game, and to be honest, it's gonna be hard for either one of them to play a low key game because Kesa is a very huge strategical threat. Janelle is a very dangerous physical threat. And with the both of them together, especially the fact that they both played 2 seasons together before this, and Janelle has played this is her fourth season, while Case is his third season. So they're always big threats already. So it's gonna be no way they're gonna be playing underway on low key games. So we'll just see how that goes for them in future weeks. With that being said, then you see Cody and Keisha talk in the HOA's room, and from the conversation, Cody is basically saying, "Oh, I don't know who I'm gonna vote out. I don't know who I want to go home. Blah blah blah, yada yada." But as the episode goes on, you will see that Cody wants Keisha and prefers Keisha to leave on Kevin. So Keisha, unless she wins the veto, is not in a good spot right now. But with that being said, it goes to the next segment of the episode. It goes to Kesa with Devon and Nicole Anthony, and basically they talk about you know about how like Kesa, why Kesa came back, how does he feel about what's going on in the world, and I think that's a nice segment. It's a wholesome segment for the episode because there's a lot is going on in the world, but at the same time these are even though they're playing the game, these are still humans and they still have emotions and still have feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a nice segment. Then uh, the next part of the episode goes to one of my actually I'm gonna be honest, one of my favorite segments of the season where it shows Tyler what's the same thing he done in Big Brother 20. It showed that he's trying to do final twos again, but this time he's being more careful in who he makes promises with. So it showed like, hey, Nicole fans talk to Tyler. Tyler's like, hey, Nicole, blah blah blah. It was talk, and they end up saying, hey, final two, blah blah blah, final two, and then he does final two at Christmas, which I think if I'm Tyler and I really want to if I want to go to the end, I'll be most loyal. If not most loyal, I would rather drag Christmas to the end because I think if Tyler was Tyler Christmas final two, unless he's a really good jury, I think Tyler wins that one. But that's just me. So he promises the final two at Christmas. Devon, David from last season, Big Brother 21, etc. And then he talks to Chase and Jenna and says, "Hey, I want to work with you." And I think this is classic Tyler. Tyler's playing a similar way they played Big Brother 20, but I'm here for it. I'm loving like Tyler being the guy who is cool with everybody, sociable with everybody. But we'll see how that goes for him. I hope he makes Sherry, and yeah, let's just see how that goes for him. And then the next segment is basically Enzo and Cody talking to each other, creating the final two. Because I just see in episode two, Tyler and Cody created final two. Cody has a final two and Cole, but then Enzo comes in, and I think if I'm Cody, I think I trust. Not saying I trust anybody less in the house, but I think you will want to take Enzo to the end because when Nicole Franzo, I think it's not to say she's more likable than Enzo or has more, you know, whatever the Enzo. Like I think if it's you and Enzo at the end, I think people are more likely to vote for like you, me, and like Cody. So I don't know. Their final two, they call themselves the Roots, and as you see, this is like that and the whole Tyler final two stuff is like the first segment of us seeing people making final twos with each other and like okay, here's final two, final three, final four, big alliances, yada yada. This is the first segments of that, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. One of my favorite parts of Big Brother is the gameplay. So let's see how that goes. The next segment is basically it goes to commercial break. Obviously, the next segment it talks about Ian being autistic because of the way how he mostly like he moves back and forth in a rocking chair and yada yada yada, and it kind of when he kind of talks about how it affected him after he left Big Brother 14, where it says the third thing he searched up on his name is Ian autistic. And honestly, I feel bad for Ian. Ian's a very nice guy, good player, but it sucks like if you get sequestered for 3 months and you're just being yourself, and then when you come back, and then you're just like judged because because you're different from everybody else. I just feel like that sucks. And hearing Ian talk about it kind of made me, I don't know, it's made me a little bit emotional. I didn't cry, but like it kind of made me feel heartbroken for him. And I hope that, like he says now, he's at this point of his life, he's more accepting of who he is, but that doesn't define him. And I love the same for me. I hope that Ian can continue to be who he is and not be judged by it. But with that being said, the next segment, it goes to like, and this is all before the Beetle, by the way. And I think the Beetle is like halfway through the episode. I think that's when they start playing it, and then it shows to like Kevin trying to make allies, and eventually he does get some allies, but like not a lot. But it shows like not Enzo. It shows Kevin trying to like campaign to keep stuff in the house. Tries to talk to Enzo like, hey, if you win the Beetle, can you use on me? If you play for the Beetle, can if he's house's choice, can he pick him? And Enzo was like saying yeah, but not really committal to it, just saying like yeah, just to say yeah, all that stuff. And I think Kevin is at least trying, which is a good thing. You got to at least try and don't just give up and fold in the house. So I like that Kevin's doing that. Um, but then the Beetle comes on, and the Beetle is kind of a weird Beetle. It kind of reminds me of, and I think this is a lot of the first week's Beetle. It's like a similar type of competition, but it specifically reminds me of the Big Brother 18, like dog Beetle for the first week for some reason, where they have to run around in circles and they stack the dog trees for some reason. I don't know why it reminds me of that one, but in this Beetle, it's them stacking up fruits and all that stuff, top of like some statue thing, and the competition's called Ace Bananas. I think it's an interesting Beetle, and the players I picked is I think Ian, Enzo, um, the two nominees was Kevin and Keisha, Cody, and I think Christmas. Was it Christmas? No, it wasn't Christmas. It was Tyler. Ugh, silly me. But I think that's an interesting six. But I didn't think any of the like Ian or Enzo or Tyler. I don't think if they want to beat them, they would use it at all. Cause I think Ian for his reason is that he didn't want to shake up the house. But I think Tyler and Enzo, they're working with Cody exclusively, so they don't want to like ruin Cody's HH and make him have to make another person mad or put another person up, like maybe a Nicole Anthony or Ian if he doesn't win, for example. So, because I think Cody's aligned, as you see, kind of slowly, Cody's aligned with everybody else. He started to align himself with certain people in the house, especially if you see the feeds. You get a more in-depth view of who Cody wants to work with long term. But with that being said, Enzo wins the Beetle. Um, I think he stacked 16 of the fruits. And I'm surprised that Enzo wins the beetle. I felt like someone like Tyler or maybe Cody wins the beetle or maybe Keisha. I don't know. Not Keisha. But I don't think Keisha Kevin would have won it. I think it was a Tyler, a Cody was gonna win the beetle in my opinion. I'm glad Enzo won it. It's good for him. It shows that he can win competition because I think the biggest knock at him in Big Brother 12, and which is why even if we got to the end against Hayden and Lane, he loses. I think, in my opinion, is that I think it's closer. Maybe he could have a chance to beat Lane, but Hayden, he was not beating Hayden. But I think for Enzo, people saw him as like someone who's just chilling, not doing anything. Like he was a strategic, but people didn't know what he did strategically. I mean, he could have probably explained it in Big Brother 12, but anyways, I'm going off a tangent right now. Enzo wins Beetle. Decide not to use it, but before we get to before we get to Enzo not using the Beetle, it shows a few segments, including like Ian and Nicole Franzo, not Nicole Anthony, Nicole Franzo, making a final two called the Million Club. I think that's interesting. It's a good play on words that both of them won $505, which is half a million. The Million Club's a good alliance. And Nicole and Ian, I think Ian's gonna be more loyal to Nicole Franzo than Nicole Franzo's gonna be loyal to Ian. So I think Nicole Franzo has Cody and also has Danielle, Donato, whatever. Um, she has other allies. So Ian kind of has other allies, maybe Nicole Anthony, maybe Kevin. But I think someone like Ian's gonna probably want to keep Nicole out because he can win again. But if I'm Ian, if I'm Nicole, I don't know how long that alliance will last, but we'll see what happens. Um, and then Kevin is happy to end one's veto because before the competition started, Kevin had house guest choice and chose Enzo, and Enzo told him, "Hey, if Cody says that I can use it, like he can use veto, he'll use it." So Kevin tries to talk with Cody, and Cody was like, "I don't." He didn't want to put anybody else up, and that Kevin's safe, and Kevin's says on. And at least, like I said before, I'm glad Kevin is trying to save himself. I think he put more work in, and Keisha, and I'm not saying Keisha did nothing. Keisha tried her best too, but I think Kevin was more trying harder. I think in my opinion. But with that being said, um, what you would call it? Yeah, we'll get to. Oh, last thing before I forget about Enzo Yuzabito. Devon and Bay League. They solidified a final two called the Black Girl Magic, which is great because it solidifies their bond as fellow women of color, and it's just a beautiful moment to see them working together. And I hope and I pray that it can go far, but we'll see what happens. Then we see Enzo, um, you know, saying that he's not gonna use the Beetle, and even though before not using the Beetle, him and Cody was talking about making a big move, and that's from the edit. It showed to hey big move on Ian, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And as we see, and I was correct, Enzo did not use the Beetle. So now they're the same. Kevin and Keisha are the two people that are up on the block right now. It looks like Keisha is gonna be the person going home, but we'll see what happens. The episode is coming up, and we'll see what it ties to. Maybe it's a chance for a flip, but it's not looking for good for Keisha. Overall, the episode was fine. I think it gives a solid dynamic of some of the lines. It's not all of them yet. Hopefully, we'll see more of the line structure in the next episode, in the eviction episode. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. And there's more coming up. And I guess goodbye.